In the winter of 1988, a 17-year-old honor student disappeared while riding her bike home from work in Misato, Japan. What followed was 44 days of torture so extreme that investigators would later call it one of the most horrific crimes in modern history. Her captors weren't hardened criminals, they were teenagers. And when her body was finally discovered, it was encased in concrete inside a 55-gallon drum at a construction site. This is the story of Junko Furuta, a case that shocked the world and exposed the darkest corners of human cruelty. Welcome back to Dark Crime Evidence. I'm your host, and today we're covering a case that pushes the boundaries of comprehension. This isn't just a story about violence, it's a story about systematic brutality, the failure of bystanders, and a justice system that left the world outraged. In this video, you'll hear the full timeline of Junko Furuta's abduction and captivity, the evidence that led to the arrests, and the shocking sentences that followed. We'll examine how this crime was allowed to continue for over 6 weeks in a residential neighborhood, and why the perpetrators served minimal time despite the severity of their actions. Before we begin, a content warning. This case involves extreme violence, torture, and details that may be disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell icon. We cover cases like this every week, diving deep into the evidence, the investigation, and the unanswered questions that still haunt these stories. Let's begin. Junko Furuta was 17 years old in the fall of 1988. She lived in Misato, a quiet suburb in Saitama Prefecture, just outside Tokyo. By all accounts, Junko was a model student. She attended Yashio Minami High School, maintained excellent grades, and worked part-time at a local electronics store to save money for her future. Those who knew her described Junko as kind, responsible, and well-liked by her peers. She had plans to graduate and continue her education. She was, by every measure, a typical teenager with a bright future ahead of her. The 4 main suspects were all teenagers at the time of the crime, but they were far from ordinary. Hiroshi Miyano, 18, was allegedly the ringleader. According to reports, he had connections to the yakuza, Japan's organized crime syndicates, and was known in his neighborhood for violent behavior. He had a reputation for intimidation and was reportedly involved in various criminal activities. Joe Ogura, 17, was allegedly Miyano's close associate and participated actively in the crime. Shinji Minato, 16, was the youngest of the group. The crime allegedly took place in his family's home in Adachi, Tokyo. Minato's parents reportedly lived on the upper floor of the house during the 44-day captivity. Yasushi Watanabe, 17, was the 4th member of the group. What made this group particularly dangerous was their alleged connection to organized crime, which reportedly gave them a sense of invincibility and access to a network of individuals who would later become involved in the assaults. Adachi is a ward in northeastern Tokyo, a densely populated residential area with narrow streets and multifamily homes. The house where Junko was held belonged to Shinji Minato's parents. It was a 2-story structure in an otherwise ordinary neighborhood. This wasn't an isolated location. It was a residential area with neighbors on all sides, which raises one of the most disturbing questions about this case. How did this happen in plain sight? On the evening of November 25th, Junko Furuta finished her shift at the electronics store and began riding her bicycle home. It was a route she took regularly, familiar, safe, and well-lit. According to police reports, Hiroshi Miyano had been pursuing Junko romantically for some time. She had rejected his advances. On this night, Miyano allegedly orchestrated a plan to force her into his control. Miyano reportedly arranged for one of his associates to knock Junko off her bicycle. When she fell, Miyano approached, pretending to be a concerned passerby offering help. He allegedly told her that members of a rival gang were in the area and that she needed to come with him for her safety. Frightened and disoriented, Junko complied. She was taken to a nearby hotel where she was assaulted. From there, she was moved to Shinji Minato's house in Adachi. The 44 days. What happened over the next 44 days is difficult to recount. According to court documents and investigative reports, Junko was subjected to continuous physical and sexual violence by the 4 main perpetrators and dozens of others who were allegedly invited to participate. She was reportedly held in a second-floor room of the Minato residence. The boys allegedly told Minato's parents that Junko was a runaway girlfriend and that they should not interfere. The parents, according to testimony, were aware of her presence but allegedly feared the boys' yakuza connections and chose not to contact authorities. Junko was reportedly beaten with metal rods, burned with cigarettes and lighters, and had fireworks ignited on her body. According to investigators, she was raped repeatedly. Estimates suggest over 500 assaults by more than 100 different individuals. The suspects allegedly invited acquaintances to the house to participate in the violence. She was forced to drink her own urine, eat cockroaches, and endure repeated insertion of foreign objects. According to medical examiners, her body showed signs of severe malnutrition, broken bones, and extensive burns. Despite the horrific conditions, Junko reportedly attempted to call for help on at least one occasion. According to testimony, she was caught and severely punished for trying to escape. January 4, 1989, the final hours. By early January, Junko's condition had deteriorated to the point where she could no longer move or speak. According to reports, the suspects became concerned that she might die and expose their crimes. On January 4, 1989, the boys allegedly poured lighter fluid on Junko's body and set her on fire. She died shortly afterward from shock and multiple organ failure. The suspects reportedly placed her body inside a 55-gallon oil drum, filled it with wet concrete, and allowed it to harden. They then transported the drum to a construction site in Kodo Ward, Tokyo, and abandoned it. Nearly 3 months later, on March 29, 1989, police were investigating the suspects in connection with an unrelated assault case. During questioning, one of the boys allegedly confessed to Junko's murder and led investigators to the construction site. When the drum was opened, investigators found Junko's remains. According to the autopsy report, her body showed evidence of extensive trauma, malnutrition, and third-degree burns. The medical examiner stated that the level of suffering she endured was beyond comprehension. Evidence number 1, the concrete drum. The 55-gallon drum containing Junko's body was found at a construction site in Kodo Ward. According to forensic reports, the concrete had fully hardened, preserving much of the physical evidence. Inside, investigators found Junko's remains, along with clothing fragments and other materials. The drum itself became a key piece of evidence linking the suspects to the disposal of the body. Evidence number 2, autopsy and medical findings. The autopsy report provided chilling details about the extent of Junko's injuries. According to medical examiners, her body showed multiple fractures to the skull, ribs, and limbs, severe burns covering large portions of her body, evidence of repeated blunt force trauma, signs of prolonged malnutrition and dehydration, internal injuries consistent with repeated assault. The medical examiner stated that Junko's injuries were among the most severe ever documented in a homicide case. Evidence number 3, confessions and testimony. During police interrogations, all 4 suspects allegedly provided statements admitting their involvement. According to court records, they described the timeline of events, the methods of torture, and the identities of others who participated. However, the suspects reportedly minimized their individual roles and blamed each other for the most severe acts of violence. Evidence number 4, the crime scene investigators examined the Misato family home in Adachi. According to reports, they found evidence of the crime in the second-floor room where Junko had been held, including bloodstains, burn marks, and other forensic material. The fact that this occurred in a residential home, with the parents allegedly present, became a focal point of public outrage. Evidence number 5, witness statements. According to investigative reports, dozens of individuals were aware of Junko's captivity. Some allegedly participated in the assaults, while others knew but did not report it to authorities. The failure of witnesses to intervene or contact police became one of the most disturbing aspects of the case. Criminologists and psychologists who have studied this case point to several factors that may explain how such extreme violence could occur and continue for 44 days. Yakuza influence. The suspects' alleged connections to organized crime reportedly created a culture of fear and silence. Neighbors, acquaintances, and even Minato's parents may have been too intimidated to contact authorities. Group dynamics. According to experts in criminal psychology, The presence of multiple perpetrators can lead to a diffusion of responsibility, where each individual feels less personally accountable for the violence. Dehumanization. Psychologists suggest that the repeated and escalating nature of the violence indicates that the perpetrators had completely dehumanized their victim, viewing her suffering as entertainment rather than recognizing her humanity. The case also raises questions about the failure of Japan's social systems. Why did no one in the neighborhood report suspicious activity? How did Junko's family not receive more immediate support in locating her? These questions remain difficult to answer. The sentences handed down in this case sparked international outrage. Because all four perpetrators were minors at the time of the crime, they were tried under Japan's juvenile law, which prioritizes rehabilitation over punishment. Hiroshi Miyano was sentenced to 20 years but was released after approximately 13 years. He was later arrested again for assault. Joe Ogura received 5 to 10 years. He was also arrested again after his release for assault. Shinji Minato and Yasushi Watanabe received sentences of 5 to 9 years. All four are now free, living under new identities protected by Japanese law. This case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about justice, accountability, and the limits of the law. It also reminds us of the importance of speaking up when something is wrong. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If dozens of people knew what was happening to Junko Furuta and did nothing, what does that say about us as a society, and how do we make sure this never happens again? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Dark Crime Evidence for more deep dives into cases that shaped criminal justice. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Share this video if you think it's important for people to know Junko's story, because her name deserves to be remembered. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.